A surprise attack, a trap if you will. That's how the 2023 Israel-Gaza conflict began. The year saw Hamas launching attacks intended to provoke Israel into a costly ground invasion. This provocative act was met with a swift response from Israel, who retaliated through airstrikes, yet refrained from initiating a ground invasion. Analysts suggest this was a calculated move to avoid falling into Hamas's trap, which could lead to a significant loss of innocent lives and potentially radicalize the region even further. Despite the caution, the mission of Hamas was surprisingly successful. Militants managed to evade Israeli surveillance and breach border security, resulting in a situation that was far from anticipated. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, responded with a stern vow to destroy Hamas. However, he was met with warnings of fierce resistance from the embedded Hamas network. As these events unfolded, the world braced itself for what lay ahead. As the world watched, the stage was set for a costly and violent conflict. In the midst of conflict, the sanctity of healthcare facilities was breached. As Israeli forces retaliated against the attacks, a hospital and ambulance in Gaza was struck. This unwarranted violence resulted in the tragic loss of a nurse and an ambulance driver, both of whom were dedicated to saving lives, not losing their own. The strike also caused substantial damage to an oxygen station, a critical resource in a region already grappling with a healthcare crisis. In the face of such chaos and destruction, Doctors Without Borders, an international humanitarian organization, made a fervent plea. They urged all involved parties to respect healthcare facilities as sanctuaries, places of healing and refuge, not targets of violence. They've been steadfast in supporting hospitals in Gaza, including the Indonesian hospital and Nasser hospital, since 2021 and 2011 respectively. Their work, now more than ever, is vital in providing immediate medical aid to those affected by the conflict. Yet, despite their efforts, the healthcare infrastructure is strained to breaking point, struggling to cope with the rising number of casualties. The Israeli forces' strike on the healthcare facilities not only endangered the lives of those inside, but also jeopardized the wider community's access to essential medical care. Amidst the violence, the sanctity of healthcare was compromised, escalating the humanitarian crisis. Behind the scenes, an unexpected partnership was fueling the conflict. Iranian security officials, specifically from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, had been working hand in hand with Hamas. This collaboration wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision either. It had been ongoing since August. As the tension between Israel and Gaza escalated, the IRGC gave the nod for the attacks during a meeting in Beirut. While the United States has not directly tied the IRGC to the attacks, they do acknowledge Iran's general support for Hamas and Hezbollah. This backing is not a secret, and has been a focal point of Middle Eastern politics for quite some time. However, Iran has categorically denied any involvement in the attacks. This brings into question what is the real depth of Iran's role in this escalation. The facts remain murky, with the nation's denial on one hand and an ongoing partnership on the other. The shadow of Iran looms large over the conflict, adding another layer to an already complex situation. In the wake of the conflict, the toll on human lives is devastating. The clashes between Israel and Gaza have resulted in a significant loss of life and injuries. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported at least 200 deaths in Gaza, while Israel reported at least 700 deaths and 1,500 injuries from the strikes. The situation is further complicated by the looming shadow of a potential full-scale ground invasion by Israel. This possibility has been a subject of constant discussion among analysts and political experts who predict that such an invasion would be met with fierce resistance from the embedded Hamas network. This conflict has also sparked concerns about the potential for further escalation. There are fears that an invasion could provoke attacks from other regional actors, such as Hezbollah in Lebanon, and lead to the radicalization of the region. The aftermath of this conflict has left a deep and lasting impact, not just on the people directly involved, but also on the world as a whole. As we reflect on the events, the 2023 Israel-Gaza conflict serves as a stark reminder of the devastating impact of war.